What's up, everybody? Drew, aka Catching Rockets here. I hope y'all had a good long weekend. Hopefully, you got some rest. A lot of us traders, like we push ourselves, we push ourselves, we push ourselves, and even a lot of people feel really excited and like they're like antsy and can't wait for the market to open. Um, and eventually, that goes away. Excuse me. But at least with these 3 day weekends or whatever, it kind of forces us to take a step back and relax and hopefully do some other stuff besides worrying about trading. Hopefully, you guys got to spend some time with friends or family or whatever. Um, Pretty wild today. I did not trade. As the people that are regulars here in the channel know that I had a meeting with my lawyer this afternoon. I worked last night, so I came home, went straight to bed to try to get as much sleep as possible before I had to wake up for that phone call. Um, I'll talk about that at the end. That way, that people that are here for charts can get their charts, and people that are interested in that can hear about that. But really, like nothing that we were looking for happened. Basically, I mean, gapping down like this, I'm never gonna anticipate something like this. Um, or I mean, I anticipate it, but I'm never gonna, like make some bold prediction about some massive, gap down or whatever overnight or over the weekend. Um, we were looking for crowd calls. I'm assuming those just came nowhere near happening. I haven't looked. Yeah, we're not even in the ballpark, right? And that's fine. That's the reason that we have, key levels where we're looking to enter a trade and we're not just looking to grab calls and have it go against us. Anyway, with that said, let's start erasing some stuff. I wish they would have come down here so I could erase some stuff down there, but it is what it is. Um, I need to go on 30-minute. I'm going to delete this just because I feel like the amount of time it's going to take for us to get back up here. Um, I'll worry about that when we get there. Actually, you know what? It's not hurting anything. I'll leave it for now. Um, oh, shoot. I feel like I should add something for you guys really quick. Hopefully I can do this. Okay. I don't know if that was enough. There we go. So, again, like I'm not calling this person out. Just kind of want to show this. I think a lot of people understand this, but some people might not. Um, when we have like whatever a buy side high volume node or a buy side imbalance, sell side imbalance. Hey, you can't see my chart? What? Oh, nice. I'm sharing the screen you guys don't need to see. Nice. Give me a second. I don't understand why my trading software randomly switches screens. Like, why? Okay. Here we are. All right. So, as always, I'll say it again. I am not a professional YouTuber. Um, yeah. The, my gosh, you guys were looking at my 49-inch ultra-wide monitor where you'll probably looks like crazy trying to look at it. That's the monitor I run like my main charts on, where I have a lot of real estate to be able to look at large areas. Anyway, you guys didn't miss anything. I was deleting levels and then I added the levels back in. Reason being is I wanted to show basically a conversation I had today in the chat. When for people that have read, like, you did not see anything bad, Triple G. So now I've lost my train of thought. Thank you, Triple G. I appreciate that. So anyway, for people that have read Volume Profile, one of the key like trading strategies he uses is talking about support resistance flips, right? What's it called? So support resistance flips when we have an area like this buy side imbalance that was once support, or when we were below it, it was kind of acting as resistance, so on and so forth. When we were above it, here it's acting as support. We break through, it acts as resistance, break above. Or here we broke above, it became support, right? When we come over here, if price is above, unless we have like a falling knife like we kind of did in the overnight session, we're expecting a bounce here, right? But for people trading SPY, when we gap below a level like this, when we come back to it, we don't expect when we go back above for this to become support again. I mean, it is possible, but at that point, I lose faith in this level if we're able to gap, gap through it. And at that point, I would expect, if anything, for it to become resistance when we come back up to it. Not really looking for support back above, but of course, both are possible. But as we can see, like the initial reaction, like, yeah, we did kind of get through it, and then we lost it, right? And ended up making a new low of the day, all the way down to our weekly second sig. When we came back and got like a nice clean retest on it, we did have an initial reaction back down, and then we ended up going back up and making a new high of the day. So anyway, just keep that in mind, that if we have a level we've identified as support when we're above it, if we break through it, it's probably going to act resistance, at least on the first touch, okay, or on the first retest, right? So anyway, again, let me just delete everything. The coolest thing about doing YouTube, right, is what you guys see is delayed. And so I probably have like 5 messages right now telling me that I'm not sharing the right screen. And then every single person that watches this video later is going to send me a DM and let me know that I'm sharing the wrong stream, or sharing the wrong screen. So that's something I have to look forward to tonight. Or like in the case that I start the video without audio, I'm going to get DMs from everybody that watches the video later to let me know there's no sound. So yeah, good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's go ahead and do our levels. Kind of not excited about charting this. I would, I guess especially in the case of like where we're trading, I like it when I can delete stuff, because right now this is pretty clustered and like crowded, and I don't like that. I would have liked if we had touched some of these levels so I could erase them. But what Shorty taught me is when levels like this get gapped through, it's generally because they're strong levels. And so when you come back to it, you're looking for that initial reaction. So I would kind of expect a rejection from here now that we're below this support turning into resistance, what we were just talking about. So there's our daily levels. Weekly, monthly, we don't have to do anything with. Let's zoom out really quick. Boy, they still did not hit the 50% retracement on this bull flag, which I don't, at this point, I wouldn't even call it a bull flag. Maybe they came close enough here that we can invalidate this, but this is pretty sloppy. Right now, if anything, it's looking like the beginning of Head and Shoulders. If I just do this, there's your left shoulder. This would be the head, right? And then we would just need the right shoulder. And I should add, I guess while I'm talking about something like this, I don't trade patterns like this. But for people that do, what my mentor taught me, and it makes a lot of sense, right? At this point, we have, 2 points we can draw a line from, here and here. Let me delete this really quick. So if we extend this line out, basically, I think it's safe to say most retail did not know about this bounce. If you have the killer charts, right, you had a line there. We always kind of say, like second and third sig is where you watch for like either a bounce if we're coming down to it, or if we're coming up to it, you're looking for a rejection. So we did have a level, but I would say it's safe to say the average person was not looking for a bounce right there. But what we do know as retail traders, right, is if we can draw a line from this point to this point, now we do know where to expect a bounce if they're going to give it to us, right? This would be the third touch of this line. And so basically Shorty taught me, like, everybody knows, where the third touch is going to happen. Once you can draw a line between 2 points, then you know where, like, if you can find A, B, you know where C is. So everybody, retail, is expecting a bounce when price comes down to this line here. Right? Doesn't mean they do it, but it is possible. So now this is pretty wild to look at, right? So all in all, I would say the day is bearish, right? Or the weekend is bearish, where we gapped. Let's actually do like some stuff here. We gapped, let's say 7.5 points on SPY. I think that's fair. And then wick down. So the over weekend session, very bearish, obviously, but today was actually very bullish, right? We did sell off in the beginning, but then we recovered and ended up making like a new high on the day and basically closed at the high, right? Which means that we have a spike. That also came with pretty significant volume, right? So this is good volume. All right. So let's do our levels. Boy, I mean, the spike is almost nothing. So at the bottom, we have a poor low. And at the top here, we have a spike. And it's really like a really tight, small area. It'll be kind of interesting to see what futures are doing right now. I haven't looked. I tend to not look unless it's by accident, because I like to go into like charting without any bias of what is currently happening. Well, right now, I mean, it just showed me post is up here. I wasn't even paying attention to that. So right now we're above the spike. unless they've sold back off in futures. So there's that. Let's look at futures really quick. Well, yeah, so yeah, they are selling back off. But where would our spike be? So we have a much, or no, it's not significantly larger. Our spike is right here. I just quickly want to see where we are relative to the spike on futures right now. Okay, we're still above it. This is actually good for future traders. I'll probably come back later and put some orders in on that. But for now, let's worry about charting. Yeah, Brian, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So basically what you're saying, Brian, is that it's never possible for futures to gap through a level. But that's not true, right? Futures, you'll get gaps during that 1 hour that the market's closed. You'll also definitely get gaps on weekends. So those things do change, or those things do apply. This is completely random. Oh, you guys could laugh at me. And it doesn't even matter. But Trudy, I don't know why. I just always assumed you were an African American woman, and you're white, or at least I think you are. I'm not sure how you identify or anything, but from your picture. Anyway, that's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, like, when we see people online, right, and we don't see a face or whatever, like, you kind of sometimes will make up what that person might look like, you know, in your own mind. And then when you actually see them, it's something completely different. And that's what just happened. That's hilarious. Okay. Now I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Let's quickly look at our fear and greed index. We should be probably somewhere right in the middle. We should be right here somewhere in neutral. Oh no, we're still in greed. Okay. Let's look at our news for tomorrow. Tomorrow is when we finally have some news, right? Today was today was not Monday. Markets were closed. Tuesday we had news. Wednesday, we've got a little bit. The biggest thing, well, so our French president's talking at 12:30 in the morning, my time, which is 3:30 a.m. Eastern. Australia, Governor Bollocks. I'm playing. Governor Bullock speaking, 4 a.m. Eastern. 15 minutes before the open, England has their monetary policy report. And then 10 a.m. 30 minutes after the market open, there's jolts, which is going to give us some volatility. Best not to be trading the open unless you're in and out before this happens. Okay. Let's open this up. And by this, I mean my other charts. And kind of like always, I'll just say I can't see the chat when I've got this open. I apologize. Here, actually, I can explain it. Let's explain this. Excuse me. Goodbye. Now let's pretend to be a professional YouTuber. Let's change our source. Actually, I don't know if I want to do this. I'll move this temporarily. Okay. So, if I show you guys this screen, this is where I trade, right? This is takes up my entire 49-inch monitor. And when I have this open, you know, like this is my chat. But if I click anywhere on these charts, it puts my chat behind this again. And this chart, I move up to the screen that I share with you guys. But even still, I have this chart here. So I can't keep this chat forward with this chart open because it always will put the chat into the background. So that's why I cannot see the chat when I'm looking at these charts. It's frustrating. I wish it was something that I could do, but it is what it is. All right. This makes more sense now looking at this. Would you look at that, futures traders? This is high volume cluster right at 424 to 428. Makes sense, everybody, already, I hope. I think I need to go put my orders in right now before they miss me. I'm going to put an order at 428. Sorry, I thought I was going to do this after, but this just gives more confluence to what I'm looking for. I would really like to put my stop a little bit lower, but it is what it is. Actually, that's a huge stop. I'm good on all that. That should be good enough there. All right, 27. I always like to close a little bit before a level, just in case they fade it, by a point or whatever. So 28 to 53. I should add, when I do these trades, overnight session, um, I tend to go smaller. Stop loss was 20 and a quarter. I'll probably go a little bit lower than that, actually. I'll probably go to 1950. Yeah. Basically, I would hate to see them come down to 420 and bounce, and my stop loss is at 420 and a quarter. All right, so there's my orders. I want to share this really quick. Sorry, bear with me, everybody, for a second. All right, shared that with all the people that I like. Okay, let's go. I actually don't even like this. I'm going to take this off. Considering the selling that kind of happened, there's not like a massive amount of orders that came in here. Really, where they came in is right there. And here we have a poor low. So actually, when we come down here, I would expect them to go a little bit lower before they bounce. All right, I think I've got everything that I need. All right, let me go ahead and close this chart so I can see you guys again. And I think we've already got most of the levels that we need. Or we already have the levels we need. This is the buy side high volume node that was above. I'm going to actually just switch this to sell side because I'm expecting it to act as resistance as we come back up to it. And then this here we have our buy side. All right, this is 12:55. August 10:50. Yeah, so the issue that I have with this, if we come back down to this range, I would really expect them to clean up this poor low. That's what I'm watching for. So that's why I didn't. I mean, you could try to catch a bounce off that 19K volume. I saw it. For me, it's just not quite significant enough. Based on how much selling happened and kind of the recovery that we made, you would expect way more volume to come in down here in order to be like, yeah, we're going to bounce next time we come there. We basically already made a double bottom, and if they come back to here, whatever tweezer bottom, if we come back here, we're probably going to go a little bit lower before we bounce, right? So that would be my concern. I'm going to get rid of these. What I really think we're going to do tomorrow, or this might happen in the overnight session, something like this. I did not trade today, Erz. I talked about this at the beginning. I had my meeting with my attorney today, and for that I had to wake up early, and I worked last night. So when I came home this morning, I just basically went straight to bed. Because I knew I was going to be getting less sleep than I normally do, so I didn't even think about trading. Just in case Jolts sends us down here, this whole kind of area here, I would be watching for calls as well. Sorry, I'm just thinking really quick. Yeah, Asia should be starting fairly soon. I don't know the exact time. I don't really pay too much attention to Asia, but I mean, sometimes it's worth paying attention to. Like, what was it? I think Monday evening. You saw like Asia was just absolutely dumping. So it was a good time to pay attention to it then, but I see more volatility with the London session, so I pay more attention to London. Big P, we're gonna see. Based on everything that, based on all the information and all the facts and the video footage and everything, my lawyer is basically saying like, the big thing is, or actually, let me just finish this and then I'll talk about that. And that way that people aren't interested, they can take off. I mean, I'm basically done with my chart. The only thing I'm considering is like, if we lose this by some chance, right? Then you could watch for puts there. But I'm sure you guys can kind of tell, like, overall, I'm pretty bullish going into tomorrow. But I was like thinking, because I don't like to go into a day like with a predetermined like bullish bearish mindset. I trade what's given to me. And so I don't want to just post levels with no bearish scenario, but I really think tomorrow they're going to buy this back up pretty quick. But I could be wrong. So I guess the one bearish scenario I would be looking for is either losing or opening below our spike base and retesting this. Let me actually also just draw this just so it kind of makes sense for people. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, if we open below, retest, go short. All right, let me post these, and then if anybody has any questions, you can ask. And then we'll talk about the doggo situation really quick. All right, so I got to be a little bit laser quick with this because I have work tonight, so I got to go hop in the shower and get ready. But basically, met with my lawyer today. Um, he reviewed like the body cam footage. He reviewed the surveillance footage, and his what's the word? Like his assessment was pretty much the same as mine, which was basically like we're looking at moral versus legal. Morally, did I have a reason to stand behind this guy's car? Yes. Legally, did I have a reason to stand behind this guy's car? No. Does that justify him hitting me with his car? No. Does me being hit by a car justify me, elbowing the car, trying to make noise? And yeah, it does, right? But and then even in the body cam footage, you hear me say, like it was never my intention to break this guy's window. I was trying to make noise to get him to stop hitting me with his car. So he feels like, it could kind of go either way. But to the, basically like to any kind of a judge with a heart is going to watch this and be like, it's just a concerned citizen that's concerned about the safety of the dog. And then, I was telling him, basically like I get it. In retrospect, Armin, the way that you get your spike and your spike base, you use TPO. And basically TPO is, and then just to show my settings, just in case, I check expand blocks. It just makes it easier to see. But when the M period makes a new high on the day or a new low on the day, that's when you have a spike. And so the spike is going to be that high on the M period. And then the base is going to be the next lowest candle or wick of the candle or whatever it is. So it could be any of these candles. But yeah, so the next highest candle is where you put your spike base. So anyway, I was telling him like, sure, it was wrong to stand behind the guy's car, and in retrospect, I wouldn't have done it, like knowing what I know now. But in the moment, I didn't realize that wasn't, that was like something that I shouldn't do. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, obviously, you should never stand in front of or behind a car. But I didn't realize that it was illegal, and so I told him, like my fear with this guy driving off is that he's got some habit of just leaving his dog in the car and thinking he's okay when it's over 100 degrees outside, and that he's just going to drive off and go do it again. So I wanted, animal control or police to get there before he took off. And so, yeah, he just basically, like looking at everything, and then also speaking to me as a person, he just gets that, like I'm sure all of you know, like I'm a good person, right? Like I don't go around, like causing havoc, causing problems. I have no criminal background. I've never been in trouble, with the law before. And, morally, I felt like I was doing the right thing. With that said, like, I wasn't trying to do any kind of, any kind of harm to this guy's property or whatever. That was accidental. And it is what it is. And I told my attorney, I was like, dude, like, I don't even care about paying for this guy's window, right? Like, it's not about like trying to get out of it, but hopefully what I'm about to say makes sense. Like, I'm not, my concern is I don't want it on my record, right? But I also have no ill will towards this guy. I hope he learned a lesson. And I hope, from my perspective, the lesson is it doesn't matter if you think you're going to be inside of a store for 5 minutes. Don't leave your dog in the car. If you have to go somewhere and you're going to go inside a store, leave your dog at home. He even says on the body cam footage, like, I was only inside for 5 minutes, but yet the video shows very clearly that it was way over 5 minutes, way over 20 minutes. So again, no ill will towards him. He actually seems like a nice guy, but I will say the body cam footage just shows over and over again him telling lies and trying to embellish things to make it seem worse than it was. Like, one of the things, I'm sure I told you guys, he said, like, I wanted to hit him. I wanted to hit him. I don't know how you crawl inside somebody's head and determine that they want to assault you, but the surveillance footage shows completely otherwise. He walked within inches of me, and I didn't even make any kind of gesture towards him that could be perceived as aggressive. I never took a step towards him. I never did anything that could be conceived as aggressive, right? There was no wanting to hit anybody. If I wanted to hit him, I would have laid him out. He walked right in front of me, No, I get it, Eras, but like, like, we make mistakes in life, right? Like, and I like to kind of give people the benefit of the doubt, and that's who I am as a person, right? Like, and that's kind of what I'm trying to explain to you guys here. Like, I'm a good person with good intentions. I'm not walking around out in public, like, looking for trouble and wanting to cause problems for people. Like, legally, I could have broke his window and grabbed the dog, right? And called 911, whatever, gone that route. And they would have found no fault in what I did. But like, I don't want him to have to go and replace his window. And I felt like, with my medical background, like, me sitting there monitoring the dog, making sure that it looks okay, doesn't look like it's an immediate medical emergency, that there's a chance, that we can make sure the dog is okay, have a conversation with the owner, whatever, have animal control have a conversation with the owner, for there to be some education so that hopefully this stuff never happens again. And that's really what I was trying to do. You must have misunderstood Shorty's class. M period is always going to be our spike. Yeah. So that's based on TPO. We have videos on it on my YouTube. Either search TPO or time price opportunity, and it talks about finding spikes and spike bases and all of that. But I know for a fact the information's correct. The levels are correct. But yeah, if you're confused, go back and watch one of those videos on TPO or time price opportunity. So anyway, I mean, really, that was my goal, was make sure the dog's safe. Hopefully there's some education, and hopefully it never happens again. That's it. Like, I'm not Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but like I'm not a violent person. If I wanted to cause him harm, I would have. He walked right in front of me, within inches of me. Actually, probably too close to me. Um, so yeah, just I don't know. It's a funky situation. And then in the moment, like with adrenaline going or whatever, not just for myself, but for him, um, that can shift your perspectives of what's happening. But I feel like you watch the body cam footage. I'm trying to be factual, like, hey, this is what happened, blah 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 blah. Um, and when they told me, like, when the police officers told me, like, hey, you shouldn't have stood behind the back of his car. I'm like, oh shoot, like I didn't know, you know. I thought that was kind of a private person citizen's arrest type thing. Um, and I even told them if I knew that, you know, before it happened, then I wouldn't have done it. Um, but again, I thought that I was doing everything, within the law, but I guess I was wrong. Like I don't study law books, um, but I do try to be, a law-abiding citizen and a good person of the community, and so that's kind of just it. What's up, Nora? Um, all right. So with that said, hopefully I've answered everybody's questions. Armin, hopefully you're good. But I got to call it a day here. I got to go hop in the shower and get ready for work. I'm kind of running a little bit late. So with that said, I will see you all tomorrow. I hope you have a good rest of your evening. Don't sleep on this trade if you're a futures trader. Why are we so far over here? Hopefully they give it to us. And I will see you all tomorrow afternoon. Kind of a funky week for me. I'll just say really quickly. I had to work last night. I work tonight. I work Wednesday night. I don't normally work during the week because I trade, but whatever, due to scheduling issues, I had to work during the week. So it's probably going to be a weird week for me as far as trading is concerned. I will probably try to go. I'll probably try to go live Friday morning and trade with all of you guys. Hopefully we catch some good moves. All right. Anyway, with that said, much love, much respect. Y'all have a good rest of your evening. I hope you have a good day trading tomorrow. I doubt I'll be on, but if I see anything, I'll call it out in the chats. And with that said, much love, much respect. Peace out, everybody. Bye.